Was voting for a national champ really all that bad? Hold on. Don't immediately react. Don't have the bumper sticker reaction here. You read something, you decide where you stand on it, you move on. Let's think critically. You and I, let's just think critically for a second. Because one of you the other day, when I asked what the biggest myths in college football were, one of you came at me and you said, I'll tell you what the biggest myth in college football is. The biggest myth in college football is a bunch of people got convinced they deserved to see a title play out on the field. So, how do you respond to that? What do you think about him saying that? It's kind of the same thing Dan said here. The immediate reaction for anyone who's a competitor, anyone who loves sports, you're just trained, man. You want to see a climax. You want to see a title won, not awarded. You want to see it won. And I feel the same way. Initially, I feel the same way. But we've got to take things into context here. It's not a vacuum. There are consequences to changing up your sport to where you get it to where you can logically or reasonably have a title game play out on the field. You reward a championship on the field. So I went a little deeper on the thinking here. And you know what my answer to Dan's question is? The more and more we get into this era, the more and more I say, no, I guess it wasn't all that bad. I thought it was terrible at the time. Man, thought how in the world am I having to live in a society here in college football where we're the ones who don't crown a champion on the field. Then came the BCS era, which I don't think was a bad thing. If you just took me back there, I'd be fine. But here's my answer to this. I can only answer it for myself. You can answer your own way. When people say, would you rather have what you have now, or would you rather go back to the pre-BCS era, where they're awarding a championship via polls? You know what I'd love to change about that is the folks voting. That's the one I'd love to change about it, more so than the system itself. I know it sounds backwards, and from any other viewpoint it is. But in college football, here's what I do. I ask myself, what do I love? What is my non-starter? What am I not willing to give up? And that is always the regular season, Saturdays for me. Saturdays in the fall, that means more than anything. So what I ask myself is, were Saturdays in the fall ever hurt because we weren't crowning a champion in a championship game at the end of the year? My answer is no. Those campuses, those atmospheres, those environments, they were there, regardless of what was going to happen in December and January. People just valued the conference championships that much more. And so I ask myself then, as I'm thinking critically here, and I know it's dangerous, that's the smoke coming out of the ears right now, what was the biggest risk? Because I've seen the risk on the other side. I've seen what the playoff era has done. Not a big fan of a lot of it. So I'm still passionate about the sport. I'm just not a fan of a lot of the trimmings of the sport. What was the biggest risk in remaining in that era? And you know what the answer is? Some people would have gotten mad every year. That was the big risk. You would have had a champion. They just would have been, I guess, awarded instead of crowned on a field. There wouldn't have been necessarily as much confetti. You would have had a champion. Sometimes you would have had multiple champions. Hey, who doesn't love multiple winners? Where would Catholicism be without the popes? Oscar, The Office. So people would have gotten mad. I think this is where we diverge paths a little bit, the expansionist crowd, when we argue. I look at people getting mad at the end of the year, and I just see people getting mad. I don't see a problem that needs to be solved all the time. Sometimes when people are mad, they just get mad, and then they tire themselves out, and then they go on about their life. Nothing really needed to change. We're all good. But apparently, somewhere along the lines, we got to a situation where someone got convinced if someone's mad, that means there's a problem that has to be fixed. And therefore, we started tinkering with something that, as it turns out, probably didn't need to be tinkered with a whole heck of a lot. I guess the difference in what I'm saying, and the reason I don't mind that era, is because I don't care about crowning a national champ in college football as much as other people. I'm in the minority on that. I readily admit that. NFL, you better give me a Super Bowl. Major League Baseball, you better give me a World Series. Those are entirely, it's almost like apples and oranges. I know it's all sports, but it's almost like two different worlds. Comparing the structure and the way those entire leagues are built to how completely herky-jerky college football is put together, it's just different worlds. Therefore, I don't care if college football is run differently. I'll tell you where I differ. I've always looked at the dissimilarity from college football to the NFL, and all I've seen is, oh, they're different. I never saw something that needed to be fixed. I never watched the Saturday game and saw the 14 things that are different about Saturday than Sunday and said, boy, we cannot rest on our laurels until we get this Saturday product looking exactly like that Sunday product. I never viewed college football that way. I don't today. There's some stuff in our sport that's different from the NFL, and I think we got the better end of the deal. And I've always thought that about college football. That's why I choose to be passionate about college football, and I do watch the NFL. NFL's fine with me, but I don't feel the way about the Sunday game I do about the Saturday game. Some other people have and had different ideas. They looked at the Saturday game. They're still doing it this very moment when it comes to conference realignment. They look at the Saturday game and they see differences, but to them, those differences are problems. Those differences are flaws that need to be fixed. And they will not rest until this game looks as similar to the Sunday game as possible, because you make more money off of it. I'm not stupid. I get how that works. I don't have to like it, though. And that's where I've been. That's where I'll always be. And that's why I don't even care. If you hit a rewind button and you took us back 30 years and you put us in the AP poll era and we're crowning a conference champ by writing their name on a piece of paper, I don't care. As long as you give me my Saturdays in the fall, I don't care how you crown your national champ. I didn't think I would ever say that back then because I was ignorant to what the future held. And now if I could go back and tell little JP a couple of things, among those couple of things would be, hey man, don't mess with the postseason. Just leave it alone. Or stop at the BCS. Stop there.